Hello, I'm Anne. I want to welcome you to my channel, Yin-Tuition. I really wanted to start this channel with a story because this story is the inspiration behind me creating this, as well as really the intention I want to use for going forward with this channel and for some of the things that I want to share with you in future videos. So this story starts in India. I was in India at the beginning of the year. I went with one of my primary teachers, Miranda McPherson. And Miranda teaches really non-dual philosophy, based in Advaita Vedanta. And she teaches in the tradition of Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi is one of the most renowned saints of India. He lived in the early part of the 20th century. And he is known for becoming enlightened in his lifetime, in his body, actually at quite a young age. So when he was, I believe, like an early adolescent, he just spontaneously dropped all sense of being a separate someone. He dropped all sense of ego and just dropped into a state of unified consciousness, of just complete non-duality. After that experience, he felt compelled to move to a town called Tiruvannamalai, which is a sacred site in India. It's a pilgrimage site and is renowned for this sacred mountain that kind of dominates the whole landscape there. And the mountain is called Arunachala. And Arunachala is believed to be the incarnation of Shiva himself, so the god of transformation. So Ramana moved to Tiruvannamalai and spent years meditating in these caves within the mountain. And word got out that there was this incredible enlightened being, and people started flocking around him to be in his presence, and a whole ashram and community developed in that town. So that's where we traveled to. We went to Tiruvannamalai, and we too meditated in the caves. Each day we trek up there and spend time in the caves. And at the beginning of the week, a lot of us were talking and saying, oh, I want to get a message from Ramana when I'm in the cave. I want to ask for a prayer. So I did that as well. And, first couple of days, didn't really notice anything. I think it was the third day. I was up in the lower cave by myself. It was in the afternoon, so it was very, very hot. And I'm sitting there and I'm doing my best to be this very serious spiritual student. And I'm trying to go deep and quiet my mind. And I'm sweating, pouring down sweat. But every time I'd start to just kind of drop in, I would start hearing this song. And I'd kind of like push it out of my head. And as soon as I would push it out, it would just come back like glue. And it was funny. I couldn't figure out why this song of all songs was popping into my brain, because it was an old song, like from my childhood, I hadn't heard in years. But I just kept hearing this old Peter Frampton song. I want you, show me the way every day. I want you, show me the way. And then he goes into the funky na 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 na. So some of you know that song. So anyway, this song keeps coming into my brain. I keep trying to push it away. I'm finally starting to settle. And then my eyes are closed and I see this image of Ramana Maharshi in my mind, and he's just laughing. He's just laughing. I didn't think that much of either of these happenings until I was walking down the mountain, and suddenly I went, oh, that's it. That was the message. And the message was so clear, show me the way every day. Ramana, spirit, higher self, source, show me the way, guide me. And I've really been impacted by this, and there's several things that I think are quite cool about it. I mean, first, I just love the way, if you're open to it and you're listening and receptive, how spirit your intuition will try to get messages through to you. sometimes it's very clear, sometimes it's just a sudden insight, a word, phrase, or feeling. But sometimes it's a message on a billboard, or something someone says casually in conversation, or sometimes through rock lyrics. And it was funny because I downloaded the lyrics, and when you read the actual lyrics, all I heard was a chorus, but when you read the lyrics, there's even more kind of messages in it. It says, "Who can I believe in? I'm kneeling on the floor." This is my favorite one. "There has to be a force. Who do I phone?" And apparently I phoned Ramana Maharshi because he gave me that message, and her source did. And so I just love how magical and even humorous spirit and our intuition can be. But what's even more, I think, important to me is the message behind it, which is really saying, I'm asking to be guided, by my higher self, by my intuition, by spirit. Every day, show me the way. And, that's not typically how we interact with the world. Most of the time, we're up here in our heads, we're deep into our ego, run along, trying to make things happen, believing we know the right way to do things and how things should function and how things should work out. And if they don't, we're going to force and try to control so they do. And typically that leads to a lot of stress and anxiety and efforting and suffering ultimately. But when we relax the ego, when we relax the part of us that feels it needs to be in control, and we soften and we become more yin-like, more quiet, more spacious, more receptive, we can open up to those messages, which are subtle. And so we need to be in this more state of openness. And that to me is really what living intuitively, or we could say living yin-tuitively, is all about. And so not only is that the inspiration for this channel, but it's also my intention. I am going to try, although I am human and, someone who does get very much caught up in my head, I am going to try as much as possible to allow this channel to unfold from that place of guidance, from that place of flow, and less from that stressed out, gotta do it, egoic mind. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to share my experience and my lessons that I learned from doing this with you, as well as, all kinds of tools and practices to help you soften and relax and surrender and learn to trust and learn to receive intuitive guidance. So I will have certainly some yin yoga practices. I also like to include acupressure and qigong, so we'll do some of that. We'll certainly have a lot of meditations, and then I'll have some specific intuitive exercises to help you develop this skill, which is so important, really, in these challenging times. So we'll have some divination practices as well. And I hope you will join me on this journey. I hope you will subscribe and learn how to surrender, trust, and receive, and be connected to your higher self, to your intuition. I'm also curious if any of you have some examples of messages that have come in to your field from unusual sources, whether it was a classic rock song or, again, a billboard or an old TV show. I have a friend who gets a lot of messages from old Little House on the Prairie shows. So it can happen in any ways. Intuition will use what you have to get a message through to you. So I hope you will join me on this journey. Go ahead and comment if you do have any cool messages that you've received. And I look forward to seeing you in the future. Take care.